Holy City Center Radio, it is episode 131, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Tuesday, June 6th, 2023. Hope your week is off to a good start and you had a good weekend. Apologies for a delay instead of coming out on Monday. As you can see, this episode came out on Tuesday. Had a busy weekend and got a little bit behind on all Holy City Center work. It's not just the podcast, as many of you know. There's the website and all the social channels and on and on and on and on, as well as trying to live a life outside of the site and working. So just decided to delay it today just to kind of get things together. And it's a good thing because there is plenty to talk about, and I will try to get to as many topics as I can today. First, why was I so busy this weekend? As I mentioned last week, I had tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band out on Daniel Island on both Friday and Saturday night. So was able to do that. Had a blast. Set list both nights was awesome. No repeats, which is pretty normal for the band, especially when they're playing back-to-back nights in the same venue, same city. And just had a blast. Whether it was actually running into people I knew, in the venue, or seeing their posts on social media after, or texting those in the same stadium as me, it was great to know that a lot of my friends and acquaintances were also in attendance and having a great time. And yeah, it was really great. So had a lot of fun. I'm getting older, so, standing for, 2.5 hours of a show or whatever it is, as well as walking to the car, it's a little tougher than it used to be. Waking up with sore legs and stuff, wildly out of shape, of course, is also what that means. But no, had a great weekend. Did some website work, on Saturday before the show and on Sunday as well. But, just couldn't get it all done, since I had to do a lot more, I was out and about doing things. So just didn't get to everything I wanted done. So we pushed back the episode. Hope you all don't mind too much. Other than that, things are pretty quiet around here. Great weekend. And now just getting back in the swing of things as far as work and everything is concerned. And with that in mind, let's start talking about some of these stories. The city of Goose Creek recently hosted a groundbreaking ceremony as construction began on the new Joseph S. Danning Amphitheater. This began last Tuesday afternoon, so a week ago. It is expected to open in the fall of 2024. It cost just under $4 million, or that's the expectation anyway. And the amphitheater will be able to see 800 people once it's completed, and it's going to be located at the lake behind City Hall, behind the city's recreation complex. They expect to host all sorts of things once this is completed: cultural events and programs, concerts, of course, poetry nights, dramatic performances, movie nights, and other special events. So a little bit of everything. So that's exciting for the city of Goose Creek. And I'm sure a lot of you who live in that area or in that city specifically are very much looking forward to it. And I'm sure it'll be a welcome addition to the Charleston area. A Somerville native was able to fulfill a lifelong dream this past weekend. What was that dream? Playing in the major leagues. The Cincinnati Reds confirmed on Saturday that Somerville High School graduate and University of South Carolina great T.J. Hopkins had been called up to the team. He came in as a pinch hitter, and drew a bases-loaded walk in his debut on Saturday against the Milwaukee Brewers. Bases loaded walk means he's credited with an RBI. So congratulations to him, not just getting in a game, but, tallying an important stat. So very cool moment for him. And it was really, really cool to see that news that not only someone locally had been called up to, to the show, as they say, but also was able to play and, tally a meaningful stat. So congratulations to him. Always fun to see, when someone local makes it, whether it's on a professional sports team, or maybe it's an actor or a singer or whatever it may be. It's always cool to see someone on the national stage that comes from this area. Unfortunately, it wasn't all good news this past weekend. Another tragedy on a South Carolina road. A 19-year-old from Mount Pleasant died after a crash along Highway 17 at Ivy Hall. The Charleston County Coroner's Office identified the victim as Brandon Newsom. Officials with the coroner's office confirmed the crash involved a car and a motorcycle that had collided. It was determined that Newsom was the driver of the motorcycle. The Mount Pleasant Police Department is investigating the crash, but as of this recording, police had not yet released any information about what led up to the wreck, and they've actually put out a call to anyone who may have witnessed it to please contact the police department. If you're wondering if there's any way you can help the family in this horrible time, there is. A GoFundMe was created by a woman who identifies herself as Newsom's sister that you can go ahead and donate to if you would like. The money collected in the fundraiser will go towards his funeral expenses. There's a link in the show notes that'll go to the story that I collected this information from. And within there, there's a link to the GoFundMe if you want to help out. This area is always good about coming together when there's been tragedies. We've shown that over and over and over again. And I'm sure with that story I just mentioned, which, by the way, that GoFundMe is up over $30,000 already in just a few days after the crash. Well, that's one example. Another example is that many people this past weekend helped out someone else in need. Dozens of people came together on Sunday to support a low country shrimper who had suffered burns when his boat caught fire in April. You may remember this story. Captain Larry Cobb and his crew were returning from the Mount Pleasant event called Blessing of the Fleet when the fire broke out on the ship, which is called the Bridget. Captain Cobb was hospitalized with burn injuries, and he was there for several days, but he is now back home, which is great news. So then, he still needs some assistance, though, of course, paying off bills and whatever may be going forward. And on Sunday, several from the Mount Pleasant community gathered at Muddy's on Shem Creek to help raise funds for his family. There was a silent auction, an art gallery, raffles, music, and more. No word on what the total raised was, but I'm sure any amount is more than welcome to help this family get through this hospitalization and, of course, the destruction of that ship. So just another example of people in this area coming together to help out those who need some assistance. Longtime pediatrician turned a low country congressional candidate, Dr. Annie Andrews, announced on Sunday that she is leaving the Medical University of South Carolina, where she has worked for nearly 15 years. Andrews' most recent title at the hospital was Pediatric Hospital Medicine Fellowship Director. You may remember her when she became a household name in 2022 when she became the Democratic candidate in the race for the first congressional district seat in which she ran against incumbent Representative Nancy Mace. Although she tallied more than 115,000 votes, Andrews fell short to Mace in the end with a 43% of the total vote tally. And as we all know, Nancy Mace went on for her second term. Andrews did not immediately disclose her reason for leaving MUSC or what her plans may be for the future, but you may remember about this organization she created called Their Future, Our Vote, which is going to help children in this country on a range of issues to try to make improvements and to benefit the youth here in America. So I would imagine part of her plan is going to include that, but she's kind of teased on social media that she'll be eventually announcing some other things she intends to work on. So you can keep an eye on her social channels. And obviously, if it's anything newsworthy or noteworthy, I'll be sure to pass it on here. All right, let's end the show with some fun. And what is better than comedy? Not much. HBO recently released the official trailer for the third season of The Righteous Gemstones, a comedy series that was predominantly filmed here in the Charleston area and stars some big names: Danny McBride, John Goodman, Edie Patterson, and Adam Devine. The third season will premiere on Father's Day, which is Sunday, June 18th. You can check it out at 10 p.m. It'll also be streaming on Max, which is HBO's new streaming service. It's really the same service. It just has a different name. It's no longer HBO Max. It's just Max. So you'll be able to stream episodes on there as well. If you want to catch up on the series, the first two seasons are currently streaming on there, so you can get caught up or revisit that if you'd like. For those in the dark, this is a half-hour, kind of a dark comedy show that tells the story of a family of televangelists and megachurch pastors that are led by Eli Gemstone, played by John Goodman. He has three very immature adult children: Jesse, played by McBride, Judy, played by Patterson, and Kelvin, played by Devine. All of them lead very high-end lifestyles that are funded by church donations and all the money they pull in from this megachurch they run. According to HBO, season 3 will find the Gemstone children finally getting their wish to take control of the church, but that they'll discover leadership is harder than they imagined and that their extravagant lifestyle comes with a heavy price. I'm sure it'll be quite wild. And if you haven't seen the trailer yet, number one, the link is in the show notes. But number two, it's looks like it's very much in line with what the first 2 seasons were. Dark comedy. I'm sure plenty of inappropriate lines and jokes, and it should be a blast. It's also fun to see all the different things here in the Charleston area, that make it into the show, whether it's, buildings, roads, businesses, etc. You can also, a lot of extras that they use on the show are from the Charleston area. They, especially when they do big scenes, in their mega church, which is actually the North Charleston Coliseum, there's tons of people that they hire for those days. So you may recognize a neighbor, a friend, or someone else from the community. As far as other people you may recognize from Hollywood, there's going to be some returning faces: Cassidy Freeman, Tony Cavallero, Tim Baltz, Skylar Gizondo, and Walton Goggins. Reportedly, there's also going to be some pretty big guest roles this year. Sturgill Simpson, the singer, is going to be on this season. It's unclear how many episodes he or any of the other folks I'm about to mention are going to be on, but they'll at least be in one episode in part. Some of the other names: Steve Zahn, Kristen Johnston, Stephen Dorff, Shea Wiggum, and of course, some of the other familiar faces, although they might not be big names to you and me, but you'll recognize them as they've been through all the 3 seasons, as this cast does a really great job of, or not the cast, I'm sorry, the production does a really great job of bringing on people locally, or Danny McBride has friends or whatever it may be that he includes. So you'll see those faces as well. But, some pretty big names coming around for season 3. So I'm excited to see what this 3rd season will bring. And also, again, it's fun just checking out the background and seeing where they film things. And it just adds a little second layer to a show. Imagine watching any other show you like, but it was also filmed where you live. So, not only are you paying attention to the characters and the story, but you're also like, hey, wait, I go shopping there. Oh, wait, I drive by that every day, or, whatever it may be. So Father's Day will be your first chance to check out the 3rd season. But again, that trailer is out there, and there's a link in the show notes if you want to check it out and get more information on season 3. That'll do it for this episode of Holy City Center Radio. Told you there was lots to catch up on. We got through it rapid fire style, so hopefully you caught all that. If you want to make sure you don't miss any other episodes, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on whatever streaming platform you're listening on. And you can help me out by rating and reviewing on whatever platform you're on as well. You can also help out by going to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up merchandise, or go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to sign up for one of those tier levels, which offer different types of benefits depending on which level you're on. The most recent benefit I was able to provide to my Patreon subscribers before being able to share it with anyone else is the fact that DC Comics and Warner Brothers, their latest film, The Flash, is coming out. And Warner Brothers, someone from the studio reached out to me. They wanted to let me know, number one, that they're doing an advanced screening before it's released to the public, and that they were offering free tickets, not just to me, but to my readers. So I was able to give my Patreon subscribers a link where they can go and get up to 2 free passes to check out this new film that's coming on actually this Thursday, as you're listening to it, just a few days away. So that's just one example of things that Patreon subscribers get. So what are you waiting for? Get on there. Regardless if you can subscribe or not, thank you so much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. I also need to thank Lindsay Marie Collins and Cole Collins with LMC Sound System for producing each and every episode of this podcast, and Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in every episode as well. I'll be back tomorrow, so you don't have to wait very long. The Wednesday episode as normal. So I look forward to talking to you then. And until that moment, good night and good luck.